you are an investor looking to grow your wealth beyond real estate, this episode will change how you see the healthcare space. We're diving into how smart investors are backing Australia's world-class medical research well before products hit the market through deep tech, med tech, and Health 10X Accelerator program at UNSW.
We cannot accelerate health startup in 3 months. It just does not work in medicine. I know it's painful, but the reality is the commercialization pathway is so long. We do not have enough investors ready to take risk and come that early. Grants are essential.
My guest today is Dina Titkova, Senior Manager at UNSW Founders and the original Program Manager of Health 10X Accelerator. She's helped launch some of Australia's most promising health startups.
When I say women's health innovation, I don't only mean startups. If we're really serious about that, we need to change policies, we need to change education, we need to do some more research on biomarkers and so forth, and then come. So it's a lot of things to do, but it's such a huge gap. So it's very exciting to see the development.
We'll unpack how medical innovation gets de-risked, funded, and scaled, and why now is the time to pay attention, especially with growing opportunities in underfunded areas like cardiovascular disease and the massive gaps in research and support for women's health. Now let's get into it. Hi, welcome back to another episode of the Investing for Doctors podcast. I'm your host, Dr. B. And today we have Dina Titkova from UNSW Founders back with us again.
Thank you so much for having me, B.
No, welcome back, Dina. For those that have not seen the previous episode with you, why don't you give us a quick introduction about yourself, who you are, and what you do?
Absolutely. So Dina Titkova, Senior Manager at UNSW Founders, with my portfolio being everything about startups. It includes Accelerator programs as well as our Going Global program, supporting startups with their global ambitions. I have been with UNSW since 2019, and over this time, I did observe this great cultural transformation where we see more researchers, clinicians, academics engaging into commercializing the research via startups and overall ecosystem maturing.
Yeah, and you originally sort of started the Health 10X Accelerator program, which is going to be one of the topics we talk about today. Tell us a bit more about that. Yeah.
So I've been brought to UNSW to launch Health 10X program, which is a beautiful partnership between UNSW Founders and the George Institute for Global Health, which is a leading medical research institute focusing on global health issues and health equity. So we kicked off in 2019. The title of my job description clearly said, contract 1 year, it's a pilot program, it's very high risk. Why? Because we decided we will take on those hard things.
Yeah.
We will take on devices that are regulated, that needs years to be developed, but we will look at every innovation coming our way through a lenses of unmet major health needs.
Yeah. That's a very broad topic, and you know the theme for this episode is going to talk about how you get up from the university into the real startup space, and you know one of the things that we talk about, Accelerator, but that journey starts well before that accelerator stage. And you know, our previous episode, we talked about how the university sort of fosters innovation to get people ready for that spin out, for instance. And obviously, you know, we can spend hours and hours talking about how research, you know, how to get to where you need to be. But when say, you know, I'm a researcher and I had an idea and, you know, I've done that through my, you know, either PhD or postdoc, and we got to the stage where we're ready for commercialization. What do you do then? I mean, you know, how does that start? You know, in Australia, we talk about Accelerator, but we often don't really talk about that incubation stage.
I love this. Let's unpack this
Let's start from there.
Let's start, and
from
also
the beginning almost.
Because it's for clinicians who know that we cannot accelerate health startup in 3 months. It does not work in medicine, right? Let's put it this way. Let me give you a bit of a roadmap. So you said, we are feeling ready for commercialization. Usually means you've done some preclinical work. Yeah. You saw some promising results, and you maybe have
a prototype or
a few
MVP
conversations
or idea
maybe with industry partners or something.
Yeah.
Everything indicating the interest. What's next?
So an idea. So let's just say we have an idea.
Yep.
All right. What's next?
So what's next? Let me speak about our world at UNSW,
Sure.
and I'm sure other universities will have some other support.
Yeah.
So we have a program that is called Coach and Connect, where anyone with idea can book a session, for example, with Dr. Joseph Po, who now leads our Health to Next Accelerator program. He will listen to the idea, unpack things, gives a bit of homework of things need to do, and this coaching will be on demand. It will be free of charge as long as the need and you are progressing towards this startup and corporation phase, right? Practical example. When, for example, Joseph, who leads our Health Next, joined UNSW in 2022, he started coaching a very promising academic team whose early preclinical results did show that they can go through brain-blood barrier, and that can really help with this challenge. They, of course, were not near ready being in any type of accelerator programs. After 2 years of coaching, this back and forth, they joined some of our workshops, seminars, events. We exposed them to mentors and connections. This year, they spun out and they got accepted into the Health to Next. Now we are on this intensive 3-month sprint with them from 1st of August till October 15th with a demo day on October 23rd. That's just the intensive phase of it. Once demo day is finished, we go in what we call incubation or scale-up phase. You can name it different things, but it's all about the same. There is still a level of support across different domains of accessing the right mentors, of investors, being represented at events, support with hiring, you name it, perks, all the classic startup stuff, just without the intensity of weekly programming. So post the program, they will still be part of ecosystem. It's the same coaching, connect, and mentors and so forth, just less intensive way, because we know it will take them quite a few more years to really be impatient.
Yeah. So, going back in the historical concept of startups, that was all very much in the, the .com bubble, tech, SaaS, like Uber and all that sort of thing. So it was very much like you incubate an idea.
Yes.
And once you have the idea, you build an MVP or a most minimal viable product, and then you accelerate that by putting some money, putting some people with skill, how, and then getting it out there to grow, right? But as you correctly mentioned at the very start, that doesn't work in anything with very deep tech because you can't pay money to grow.
No.
There's natural barriers and checkpoints where you can pay as much money as you want.
Yeah.
That just doesn't happen. So the idea of an accelerator in a deep tech space is it's completely different.
Yep.
It sounds more like what you're describing is the acceleration is really getting them ready to come out of that shell.
Yes.
Right? So it's really that push from them, someone who has an idea, to get them from an idea phase with perhaps a newly incorporated company into something that is a workable company with the right skill sets to then go on iterating.
Exactly. So you put it this way. We cannot really influence how the research is being done. We hardly can accelerate, clinical trials. Okay, we can if we have $4 million.
Yeah.
What we can do is surround them with key opinion leaders and experts across the domain that matters in healthcare, such as, of course, clinical, if they're missing it. It has to be brought on board. Business, all the governance, how you recruit people, how you bring people, the commercial acumen has to be in a startup. They need to have access to regulatory experts. They need to have access to reimbursement experts, manufacturing, if this is a physical product, and then access to clinical trial specialists. So that's what the accelerator does for them. As a tiny, tiny team that juggles many of things, you're getting streamlined connection to the best of the best. So they give you advice that will save you months of work or thousands of dollars, or you'll access prototyping free of charge, as one of our startups did, instead of straight away going to design agency that was quote and got a quote, $900,000 for a prototype.
Wow.
In our makerspace that we operate, we run, and we own, he prototyped free of charge.
Wow.
So all these things, that's what it means, acceleration. So you're setting the foundation right, you're setting the strategy right, and you bring the skill and expertise and capabilities. So then they can be ready to hit those milestones. And I think second thing that is very important to understand, that we always encourage our medtech and health tech founders to go after non-dilutive funding. I know it's painful, but the reality is the commercialization pathway is so long, and we do not have enough investors ready to take risk and come that early. Grants are essential.
And so the acceleration is really getting you in touch with all the right people. And so you don't waste time trying to find the correct advisors, for instance.
Understanding who is your customer. Really fine-tuning it, understanding and mapping exactly how it will be used, who will pay, how much, what's the reimbursement code, all of those answers, if they kind of in place to complement this breakthrough research and make sure now, again, it's not a technology, it is a solution.
And often I see as, when they come out from the researcher side, they have this solution. And this solution can, sometimes be applied in multiple ways. And you need to almost find a customer, or, I typically say you need to find a problem to solve with that solution. And it's a very different dynamic in healthcare, because if you have a solution, say in fintech, and you can make people money, people will buy it, right? Whereas in healthcare, there is you can have a solution and it may be great, but the ultimately the customer who's buying it could be more than one or many customers that's paying for it, and sometimes that dynamic doesn't work out, and so you need to find a problem that your solution can solve, and that problem needs to be painful enough. And someone's willing to pay to solve that problem. And that's, sometimes where I see a lot of difficulties in that space.
That's correct. Because it's, unfortunately, we can see that it's the best solution, I don't know, to improve movement or something. But exactly as you pointed out, unless it can be integrated in the workflow, regulated, reimbursed, and all this stuff, or approved or included in clinical guidelines, there will be no uptake. No uptake, no business.
Yeah, exactly. And so it's really trying to shortcut them from that, I've got a really cool solution that can solve some problems, but we don't know exactly where to angle that.
Let's jump on an example of a platform. That's a classic platform technology. So you want everything to be platform, but the trickiness of platform, you have to start somewhere. Again, our joint portfolio company, 23 Strands, when they came into the program, their first use case was to help people with cardiovascular challenges to get this personalized kind of healthcare provided to them. The business model go-to-market was not obvious. Through the program, they got connected to a mentor, Vinayak Smith, who is later on got a position at Virtus to lead their CVC arm. And he immediately thought that type of solution solves for an urgent problem in IVF space, where the player already exists and the uptake is clear. So that's where they pivoted their platform technologies and put the key effort on women's health, on personalized care within IVF, and that changes the whole dynamic. But you need to get to this level of understanding, not just the need, but who will pay, how it will get there.
And it's an interesting thing because, I've observed that journey, and, they've obviously done well through grant funding for the women's health side of things. And even when I look back, a number of years now, going down that cardiovascular health route was almost difficult, because that almost felt like, okay, who's going to pay for this? But, with the changes in how healthcare is delivered now, with companies like, all these longevity companies really focusing on that.
I love it.
It's it feels like, that might be a viable product today versus say 5 years ago, right?
Yep.
You know, that's a timing has completely changed. And
I agree.
And sometimes it's not just your product or the problem you're trying to solve is not a valid problem. It's just that the timing is not right.
I agree completely.
And having an understanding of the whole ecosystem, I think just changes that dynamic altogether. You know, even from the recent years, we've now got carrier screening on the the Medicare benefit scheme. We feel like, oh, okay, so that's also another major sort of change in sort of the genomic space. And we need to almost sometimes wait for regulatory or wait for the government to come to make the first step before it opens that floodgate.
Sometimes it's government, but don't you see that consumers getting also more power and more willing to pay for things and also driving the conversation?
Yeah, exactly. And one of the things that we've seen in healthcare is that previously, if it was a service that was not under the MBS or the Medicare benefits schedule, there was very, very little adoption. Because people are used to this mindset, the government, I need to get something from the government out of this. But now we're seeing that trend, and for better or for worse, some of the telehealth providers that are out there are pushing these sort of completely privately billed services, such as in weight loss or or male pattern baldness or whatever. They have created this model where people are willing to pay completely privately
because the system failed them,
decoupled from Medicare, because there's maybe not those services. They've innovated on new business models of healthcare delivery, and so that has happened, which has enabled more sort of tech solutions to come to the forefront, because the payer now also realizes that you can't just rely on bulk billing. And for instance, before this whole shift away from bulk billing, it was really difficult being a private billing practice. But now, that's the majority of them, right? They're mixed billing. So
I think health literacy is increasing a lot. It does change the behavior. The fun fact, I just saw it on the news. I think Kellogg or someone of those, fast food sugary, even sold part of their business because the demand for this sugary stuff is actually dropping because health literacy is increasing. So it was just on that same topic. Look, there is definitely very strong kind of demand coming from consumers because the system failed them, because we're not approving products fast enough. We're not including them reimbursed fast enough. The system failed women. How many things like all the hormonal HRT and stuff are not on PBS either. So women just paying out of the pocket. So this is a trend to be aware of. Health literacy is getting also kind of higher. We still keep our ground that we have to be there for consumers and make sure that whatever innovation we back has the validation component and clinical. So that's though how we bring this consumer lenses in. For example, we know that there is demand, of course, like for mental health for kids or for women's health products. But when we work with our startups, we help them to connect to key opinion leaders and key experts to always go above and beyond in validating or getting through regulatory approval, where it's actually not many people do because it's not hard. Required or it's hard. But our startups do it. Why? Because we cannot afford the brand of UNSW and the George Institute and MedAngels. We cannot afford just back-end technology solutions. We have to have kind of this validation.
There has to be a good. A common good or a net positive at the end of that.
And it has to be some level of validation, absolutely, as well.
Okay, so, I think you touched on a lot of points within what the accelerator model in healthcare is a bit different. Let's talk about some specific examples that Health10X has helped or have previous companies that have gone through Health10X. We touched on 23 Strands, the genomics company. What else is on your list of
So let me just unpack maybe Neuroflux as a case study.
Sure.
Because it's a biomedical engineer who came into the program with his PhD thesis, which was a new great mathematical model of measuring brain blood flow using a wearable device and avoid the need for CT scan post-stroke patients, right? Or also kind of make sure that we don't miss the secondary stroke because the patient will be continuously monitored. So great PhD, phenomenal founder, applied to the program, got accepted, was a solo founder. It was, July 2021. Through the program, of course, we encouraged him, he needs to find a co-founder, provided some guidance what to look for. He found a phenomenal, so Neuroflux, the founder is Sam Van Behemen. He found a co-founder, David Cardozo. They've been an amazing team since. Through the program, they also got connected to the leading stroke researcher, one of the leading stroke researchers in the world, Professor Craig Anderson from the George Institute for Global Health, who absolutely understood the need, who fell in love with solution and opened up all his networks and capabilities. Through our program as well, all prototyping has been done in a network of makerspaces at UNSW. So Sam could save $900,000 that was quoted for him by a design agency. We connected him to reg expert, to IP expert, you name it. Device is now being tested on 60 patients across RPA, Prince of Wales, and I think St. Vincent's. They have 3 sites. They're getting now for a raise because all the clinical data looks very promising. Would not exist outside of Accelerator program because nowhere on the planet, young, talented, smart researcher will get investment from anyone with an idea stage and quoted $900K.
Yeah, and I think that's the thing, right? There's this complete funding gap where you need money to do certain things, and without that, you're not going to get anywhere. And it sounds like UNSW, not just through the Health 10X program, but the post program follow-up, incubation, and all that sort of stuff, has managed to sort of overcome a lot of those problems. Because I remember meeting Sam many years ago, and it was just like the budget you need to get this out to make it an investable company is just so high, and there's just so many risks involved. And it sounds like he's getting to the stage where that is relatively more de-risked because you actually have a prototype that's working. Because before that, it was just all science on paper. And,
prototype that is working, shown clinical effectiveness in a clinical study across 3 sites. The study supervised by Professor Craig Anderson, global leading name. The George Institute put some more funding behind this as well. And now they will be going to more official race. Only now, which is 2025.
I know, that's a long journey. And that
Accelerator, 3 months. We're in 2021.
Yeah. But I mean, the thing is that what the Accelerator did was it basically shortcutted all the pitfalls. And, by and large, what it sounds like is that it's been a very capital efficient company, for instance.
Extremely capital efficient company.
So, that's where, and the thing is that once you start taking, I guess, institutional investor, that clock really starts. And you don't really have 3 years to dilly-dally around, and trying to meet all these milestones, which is the difficulty in the healthcare space. That's really good to hear that. Sam's had
but again, it takes an ecosystem effort. No way we can bring something really requiring clinical, regulatory, and so forth to the market if we do not connect early stage, very vulnerable startups to people who are willing to lean in and help. It really takes a village.
Yeah, especially because there's so many ways to just kill off a company.
Way too many.
Way too many. And back to the analogy about having a SaaS product, for instance, you could just throw money at it, see if it grows enough, and if it doesn't, just kill it off.
We'll see what AI will do with all the SaaS companies as well. So our thesis is that AI has redefined the whole SaaS B2B standard, business building and investment. And for investors, the opportunity now in deep tech. So for investors, if you really want to be ahead of the curve and invest and not being competing with billions put into AI,
I think,
go after.
Absolutely. I think where I see the AI trend is going, it's almost getting to the same stage where the .com bubble is. It's just getting to the, it's still heading upwards, but then it needs to come to a point where we're saying that money is not returning the returns, right? I mean, that's where it all falls down. You can have all these valuation sort of increases creating this bubble and hype, but like at the end of the day, how many of us has replaced everything we're doing and just relying on AI? I have said maybe 10% of my day-to-day activity involves AI or is facilitated through AI because they're already embedded in a platform, but like by and large, most things have not. So we'll see how that turns out.
So I feel if just coming back to Australian ecosystem strengths, as you all well know, your audience, we are so good with health and medical research. We're like one of the best in the world. Honestly, the type of research and innovation and the thing that people do in the labs is just phenomenal. So there is a realization from universities to step in. Universities stepped in a lot. They are providing the seed funding, they invest in support mechanism and stuff. So universities really leveled up the play. I'm not for sure so many, and I know how much UNSW put in behind innovation and startups. Government tries different things. So we've got National Reconstruction Fund, some other initiatives, grant funding. We need more skilled people who know how to do medtech startups. So whenever someone comes from overseas and they did a lot of life sciences medtech work overseas, we always get them as a mentor to get really global perspective. So, but ecosystem is maturing. It's just constantly bringing this together to those early stage ventures and help them overcome those barriers together with partners. It always together with partners.
And so, you obviously see a lot of the companies coming through, right? I mean, not just in health, but in other fields as well. What are the, common trends that exist these days? I mean, obviously everyone is putting AI label on their company, even though, we were talking about machine learning and truly earlier than that, and then this AI label only came out with large language models. What trends do you see in healthcare, and what gets you excited?
Oh, look, you do know about my passion. Innovation in women's health gets me very excited. I'm putting a lot of very dedicated effort to move the needle. And when I say women's health, I don't mean bikini health. I mean the women's health gap in cardiovascular, neurodegenerative, and all the other where we still don't have enough data and research. So, and I am excited to hear much more women's health innovation coming our way and the quality of this innovation. So, a few years back, we jointly invested in Amelia Bio. Look, concept is so simple. It is a vaginal pessary with probiotic, right? But because it's such a major unmet health need, look what Catherine is doing these days. She is selling left and right, and now in the US and got reg approval and doing clinical study with Western Australia just to link it to pregnancy outcomes. Just because the need is so huge, it's easier actually to enter the market, innovate, and get your share of it.
Well, it's the classic. We talked about this earlier. It's there's a solution, and then there's a problem, and there's a burning problem there. I mean, literally and metaphorically. There is a absolute need for that, and they come up with a solution which people are willing to pay for. I mean, that's that's all it is, really. And it's quite astounding that nobody has really thought about it before that. And good on Catherine to spin up a startup, get involved in all of that. And we're very privileged to be on that journey. But that's
so it's
so
kind
many
of
things.
One area that gets me excited, and I see the positive movement and development in this space, and putting more effort behind it. Of course, precision medicine is there. We absolutely we are good. We know we have some leading biotechnology researchers and those who are doing genomics and molecular biology and so forth. So there will be more breakthroughs coming from there as well. But if we look at this year's cohort, I'm so proud that we have something for cardiovascular, which is preventing the damage of heart attacks, because let's not forget who is the main killer.
It's still the biggest killer, right?
Right?
Yeah.
So let's not just, all the fancy words and stuff. I'm really happy we've got this one. And over years, we supported few that really for cardiovascular in line with our focus. Yeah. We've got like high specificity, high sensitivity kind of a device, a diagnostic device with phenomenal research base and can be a platform technology because can pick up Parkinson's earlier, can really pick up sepsis much faster, can be integrated in the workflow. So we're still getting those big killers and cancer, of course, CAR T cells, brain, blood, barrier. So endometriosis, as I mentioned already, women's health. So we actually, the cohort this year is very diverse, but everyone is working on a very much major burning unmet health needs, costing us a lot of in decreased quality of life and money lost and lives lost as well.
Yeah. So it sounds like a lot. I personally also think that women's health is really a very exciting space. Because traditionally everything was focused on both male and female. And there are obviously a whole range of conditions and diseases that are female specific. And obviously there are ones that are male specific. Yeah. But, by and large, the fact that women has to undergo menstruation, childbirth, that fertility cycle is very different from the men's fertility cycle. It's like that's like a whole industry, and that's just not, I guess, the way it could be from a healthcare perspective. It's just like there's just so much gaps in there.
Yes,
and whether it's just and sometimes it's just like, oh, this is just the way it is, kind of.
Yeah. A lot of
hand
biases.
brushing, and that comes from not just male clinicians but also female clinicians as well.
It's lack of training. When I say women's health innovation, I don't only mean startups. If we're really serious about that, we need to change policies, we need to change education, we need to do some more research on biomarkers and so forth, and then come. So it's a lot of things to do, but it's such a huge gap. So it's very exciting to see the development. I actually borrowed this line from Maria Lund from IP Group. She was giving a presentation on women's health opportunity, and she said, look, 3 years back, if you say endometriosis, people like, what? What is that? You say endometriosis now, people are like, oh yes. We heard so many times about it that it's a bad, devastating disease. Yeah,
and it's hard to really understand when that shift happened, It's like it felt like it was a very gradual shift, and then suddenly it became a major talking point.
Yeah.
Whereas, we as clinicians, we know about endometriosis for forever and ever now. Yeah. And I feel like it's only come to the stage where, just from my own personal sort of views, is that it's really coming to the forefront because that is a major impact on fertility. And as people are having kids later and later, the fertility rate has completely bottomed out. And endometriosis is obviously a leading cause of infertility. And how much of that is...
Can I pick you up on that point? Yeah. And that's what also frustrates me, that in most kind of women's health conditions, women's are cared or noticed when it's impact on fertility only.
Yeah.
Right? It almost feels like when I was pregnant, oh my gosh, ultrasound every 2 weeks, all this blood tests, all those questions.
Right?
I'm just feeling so well cared for.
So much attention.
Out of the hospital.
Nothing. You gotta
I've
visit.
done my job, right?
You gotta visit at 6 weeks.
Kids are good. I see you in 6 weeks, and I'm like with all this new body and new brain and all this stuff and managing new life and the baby. But it's much less support. And now the conversation that I love that it's happening, I think it's just women also found their voice, and it's more research evidence, and more investment started to hit the ground, right?
Well,
It's all about just, I think a lot of factors came into play, but excited about this. I will always be excited about cardiovascular, of course, with sex and gender difference in mind, just understanding that it works well for both of them. And maybe that's a trend, like put aside women's health. I think what I'm excited is that we will finally start creating solutions that are personalized, at least for your sex and gender, right?
Yeah,
so
I mean,
let's just start with the basics.
Right?
Let's just start with the basics.
Yeah,
so if something is tested,
and I guess
actually works on you and me.
Yeah, we're not even talking about ethnicity or genetic differences.
Let's start with basics.
Things, right?
Let's start with basics. So I want the devices and drugs and stuff that are actually being developed will be tested with sex and gender difference. So actually works for you and works for me, and we know when they take this thing.
Well, I mean, I'm a Chinese person, and I for a fact know that back in the days, a lot of medication that was tested in a European or a white male population just didn't apply to Chinese.
Good luck.
For instance, in China, there is a leading anti-epileptic drug that's just completely banned because
oh my gosh, never tested.
No, it's not just never tested. It's just because the mutation variant for it that will lead to really bad outcomes.
Oh my God,
is a lot more prevalent in East Asian population. So obviously nobody knew, like nobody really realized about it until they released it, and it was like, oh shit, it's like causing a lot of harm, and then so they yoinked it out.
So, and that's why, just coming back to our discussion of health innovation and the quality, what do we want to see? We want to see innovation that is validated by professionals, by those researchers who know how to design clinical study correctly. So it actually tested properly. So it's regulated in the right way. It's also incorporated into the workflow of the doctors.
Yeah,
right.
I think that's the other
So
part.
you as a doctor are not frustrated. So all these things, it's really a very much ecosystem approach to make sure that it's not just an app that we launch on Apple Store and we forget. It's not that.
How many of those have you seen?
Oh, 100,000? What's the latest count on those? We're not after those. It's co-design.
Yeah.
It's co-design. And with all these new lenses that let's think about really unmet major needs. Let's design solutions properly and let's bring it to market so we have most impact.
And so, we've gotten to a stage where these companies have gotten to a stage where they're now properly investable, and hopefully medical angels investing for doctors will get some people who are interested in the startup journey and co-invest in some of these companies. What comes after that? I mean, you mentioned there's a global.
Yes. I am now excited to share that we will be doing more initiatives globally.
Yes.
Starting from next year. Within my team that I lead. So I'll be actually recruiting a dedicated global innovation manager to help those startups to be linked to the right ecosystems within UNSW networks or Investment New South Wales networks, or really any global networks. Why? Because let's be honest, Australia is a beautiful country with a good research and great clinical study.
I jumped the gun on that. Yeah.
But 25 million, we have to think globally if we're really serious about growing global leading health and medtech companies, and we'll do more.
Yeah, absolutely. And one of the things is now, historically, everything that was in Australia got taken out of Australia very early, and they flip up to the US, and that was the only solution. But
we're trying to change that.
Yeah, absolutely, because the world is changing, and with some of the recent tariffs that Trump has put in, it's just like I don't think that flipping up to the US is going to be the sole model anymore. And in fact, there is so many more opportunities either in Europe or in Asia, whether in Southeast Asia through Singapore or China through Hong Kong and the Greater Bay Area sort of health innovation zone or whatever they call it. So it's like, it sounds like there is a lot more going into Asia now rather than
it will be just more global. And we want to really stay in touch with the global networks, and we will see and observe where the opportunities. And of course, we'll start with UNSW networks. UNSW has MOU with leading organizations worldwide. We really work on what the startup exchange programs or global innovation exchange programs may look like. I don't know all the answers yet, but that will be the focus, making sure that we go help our startups to connect globally, again, with minimum friction.
Yeah, no, that sounds beautiful. And I'm very much looking forward to that. And, introducing some of the Australian startups globally, not just to the US.
But you had a bit of success recently with Australian Medical Angels, acquisition as well.
Yes, we had a recent exit, so that was very exciting. And I think that's one of the things in health tech. It just takes a really long time.
You have to be patient
to have an exit. I mean, this exit was actually pretty quick, but it's still. For something that is so tech heavy, like, the ones that we mentioned, 23 strands or Neuroflux, they would easily take years and years in R&D before they get to that final commercialization stage, or even that really investable stage to get onto the global market, because these are all global companies. Yes, they start off in a relatively small country like Australia, but
they go global.
We are, I say, dollar for dollar wise, we're probably one of the most efficient healthcare systems in the world. And the research output that we have, and you probably know this, it's
world leading,
well above our weight.
It's world leading. So look, I think we've got a lot of components. We over year learned how to de-risk startups. We are still missing this patient capital.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah,
like with MedAngels being exemption to the rule, where you really come in early, where a lot of players say, we invest early. What early? Some after first revenue. Okay.
Yeah.
I'll see you in 5-7 years, right?
5 to 7 years,
So we just need this patient capital. We know we've built the ecosystem. We know how work together and de-risk things and how to really partner. It is bringing more people on the journey and really being a bit more proud what we create on the home soil.
Exactly.
It's good.
I think with that, it's just, I think the call to action here is, be interested in this space as a doctor or dentist in Australia, be interested in the kind of innovation that we get to the market, and be proud that is coming out of Australia. And, if you've got some spare capital around, put your money behind it.
Sometimes it's not just about money, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes it's about meet this inventor.
Yeah.
Open the door to your clinic.
And all these
let them interview you.
Effect. Yeah,
network effect is huge. Provide an advice. You can start with that investment of time. And then at some point when you believe more into the system, come with more investments like we already do.
Beautiful. Yeah. And looking forward to the future on this journey.
Yes. Thank you, B. Thanks for having me.
Thank you for coming.
This podcast is for educational and entertainment purposes only. The information and opinions shared are not intended as personal financial advice. The content presented should not be relied upon for making financial, investment, or other decisions. Listeners are strongly encouraged to seek the advice of qualified financial or legal professionals before making any financial decisions. While we aim to provide valuable and accurate information, we make no guarantees regarding the completeness or accuracy of the content. Any reliance on the information provided is done at your own risk.